What have I been reading recently? Stay tuned to find out. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Zach with Zacks Books, and today for you I have got a recent reads. Yes, it is time yet again for some more recent reads. I will say up front, we have not been doing a whole lot of posting this month because just work has been a little bit more hectic, and I've just been a little bit more tired lately, and it's been a little bit more of a stressful month, and so we're bear with us. We're starting to get more stuff filmed, starting to get more stuff out there. It's just been a little bit harder for me lately, so also Danielle's voice is still not 100%, but it's getting there. She's pretty much at like 99.99% ready. But yeah, so I've got 4 recent books I've read, and I'm going to share them with you. I will have these linked down below if you're interested in any of them. One of them is an audiobook only, so that one you cannot physically purchase, but you can download it on Audible, which is through Amazon, so that's really cool. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for stuff like this, and let's dive into some books. Alright, first book up is the audiobook, which we'll have a picture right here if you want to take a look at it. Is going to be Sleeping Dogs Lie by Samantha Downing. So this book, you follow the main character, which is a dog walker who gets to the person whose dog she is walking. She gets to his house and she finds him dead in the bathroom. And so the police start showing up. This woman detective's trying to figure out what's going on, and the dog walking lady is explaining some stuff, and they're trying to get some details about what could have happened. The guy was recently in a divorce, so suspect number one's the ex-wife. But it does have a really nice twist in it, and I absolutely really enjoyed that book. I believe I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I don't think it quite hit 5 for me, but it was a really solid read. Again, that's only an audiobook, so if you want a physical copy, that's not available, but we will have the audiobook linked down below if you want to give that a listen. It's a really solid book, and it was really short too. I finished it in like 2 hours or an hour and a half or something like that, if that. So yeah, it's a really good book. I really recommend it, and that is Sleeping Dogs Lie by Samantha Downing. The next one up is a Book of the Month pick that we had, I believe, actually for June, and that is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This was a really solid book. This person is the author of The Silent Patient, and I'm pretty sure I gave that 4.5 stars, possibly 5. Check out Goodreads down below. But it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. And this one pretty much followed suit. There is a reference to The Silent Patient in this book that some people, I don't know, miss it. It's not like you have to read the first one to understand this one. There's just like a slight, there's like 2 characters that get referenced in this book that are in the original one, in The Silent Patient. So you don't have to listen to it, but if you want to, you can. And I believe I did this as a reading vlog. I don't remember what it was for, but it's on a reading vlog, and we're going to have that up here if you want to check that out, so you can get more in-depth thoughts and analysis of what I thought of the book. I ended up giving this one, I want to say about the same, like 4.5 stars. You follow this woman who gets called into this Cambridge College, Camry College. I can't remember the name of the college. It started with a C though. And she goes to the college and she meets her niece. There's a murder that happened within this group of friends, and they eventually get the name the Maidens. The first suspect is their teacher, who kind of does like the secret teaching stuff with them, and the woman immediately is just like, yo, it's the teacher all day, and a bunch of twists start happening. The twist at the end of this book I thought was really solid, and I really enjoyed it. Kind of reminded me of The Silent Patient with the twist ending. It was a really good book. I don't remember why I didn't quite give it a 5, but there is something in here I just didn't click, something didn't make sense. But overall, really solid story, and probably the last 50 pages are really solid, and there's a couple of really solid twists in there. So really recommend this book, and that is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Alright, the next book up is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I finally read this book. It took me, I don't know how many TBRs this thing was on, maybe 8 or 9. But I finally was able to read this, and I gave it 5 stars. It was a really solid book. It was really good. I believe we also did this as a reading vlog. No, we did not. No, but it was a 5-star, and it was a 5-star prediction I had for the year. Which, if you have not seen that video, check that out up here. But yes, this is about a woman named Patricia who's in this book club, and this weird, sketchy guy kind of shows up and like befriends everybody. And what happens is Patricia one night is trying to help find this girl and sees the guy like doing something to like the little girl in the back of a van. And then everyone's skeptical because this guy's like a really nice guy. Nobody believes her. And there is a time jump in this. I think there might be 2 of them. And I'm surprised it took me as long to read. I know a lot of you guys were really pushing for me to read this book. And once I finally did, I was like, okay, thank God. A, it's done, so I can stop putting it on TBRs. And B, it was actually a really solid book. Grady Hendrix has probably been one of the biggest surprise authors for me, pretty much of all time. Him and Anya Alborn and Darcy Coates have probably been the 3 biggest surprise authors for me. I mean, obviously there's probably a few more. These are the authors I've read more books from, so I've got more experience with them. But this is a really solid book, 5 stars. Everything I've read by him so far has been 5, I think, except for Horror Store. That one I gave like 4, 4.5. So. But yeah, there you have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Alright, the last one I'm going to talk about is technically a book I had started last year for a reading vlog in terms of like a short story battle or a short story showdown. I don't remember which one it was, but we will find it and we will actually post that up here if you want to take a look at it. But it is my Stephen King book, 4 Past Midnight. So, the first 2 stories I read in this book, which were last year, was The Langoliers, which is the first one, and it was super long, and The Sundog, which is the last one, which was actually one of my more favorites out of this collection. So, The Langoliers, a lot of people talk about. I'll go, like I said, in the video that I posted, I went more in depth with this. It's been, like I said, about a year, maybe a little bit shorter, but it's been a while, and so I'm trying to remember some of the stuff that happened. And The Sundog was about like this Polaroid camera, take a picture, and this dog like keeps getting closer and closer. The Langoliers is about like this plane, and like it disappears in this other dimension. The survivors are trying to figure out what the heck happened. But those are not the stories that I read for this. The 2 stories that I read for this were Secret Window, Secret Garden, and The Library Policeman, both of which were really solid stories. So Secret Window, Secret Garden was, if you've seen the movie Secret Window, it's got Johnny Depp in it. It follows suit with this kind of closely, but the ending is way different. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil the ending. I will say, though, in terms of... I'm going to try and phrase this... I mean, there's no real way to phrase it without like spoiling anything. I like the movie ending a little better than I do the book ending. That's just the kind of person I am. The book ending was still really solid. I thought it was kind of weird how they kind of twisted how it kind of went down. But, I mean, it is also kind of referenced in the movie at some point, but the book does it more justice. I ended up giving that story, I think, 5 stars, just because, like I said, seeing the movie and picturing Johnny Depp as the character was really cool. I love the story, and I actually love that movie so much. It's actually really cool. Let me give you a little synopsis of it. It's about this guy who wakes up one morning, and this guy's at his doorstep, and he's like, "You stole my story." And so it kind of goes about, like, he's trying to get this story to try and prove this guy wrong, but the problem is, like, nobody, like, can figure out who this guy is. And every time he references the person to another person, they're like, who the heck is that? And so what ends up happening, a lot of people... Okay, so I'm going to say this up front. A lot of people I have heard compare this story to The Plot. I don't see it. The only reference that is even close to The Plot is somebody stealing somebody else's story. That is it. Everything else in this story is obviously completely all of King's, and everything that's in the plots is completely all of the person who wrote the plot. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. But the only reference that's even close is just somebody complaining about plagiarism. That's all it is. And when I hear somebody say like, "Oh, it's just like that," it like sounds like it's like the exact same book but different characters. It's not. I love both stories very much so, and I think the plot is better than Secret Window, Secret Garden. But Secret Window, Secret Garden is still a 5-star read for me and a very solid story. I just don't see the similarities except for just the plagiarism part. That's really all it is. And if that's all you guys are meaning, then yeah, I agree with you. It's the same. But to me, it's literally just the plagiarism. That's it. The twists are way different, and both work their own separate ways, and they're really cool. The second story I read in this was The Library Policeman. And so how that story goes down is a guy goes to the library because he's got to prepare for the speech that suddenly he has to do because somebody who's supposed to perform at this place gets hurt, and the guy's like, "Hey, you owe me a favor, come here and do this." So he goes to the library, meets this old lady, and she's acting really weird, and he ends up checking out 3 books, and the lady's like, "Hey, make sure you return those in 7 days, because if you don't, the library policeman's going to get you." And so he's just not really thinking much of it. He does his speech. It's really cool. And then the week goes by, and then he gets a call at midnight from this lady. And he's like, "You didn't return your books on time. Since it went so well for you, I'm going to extend your thing till Monday at midnight. If you don't return them, the library policeman's going to get you." He's just kind of shaking it off. He starts asking around if anyone's even heard of this woman, and everyone's like, "How do you know her?" And so he's just kind of like, "Well, okay, what do you mean, how do I know her? I met her at the library." There's a lot of hidden details in terms of like Stephen King lore. What I really like about this one is the woman kind of acts as somewhat of like a Pennywise type creature. It's not quite like a Pennywise type thing, but it's got some striking similarities in my opinion. And so it's a really solid story. I actually really enjoyed it. And I think I gave it 4 stars, maybe 4.5. But it was better than the Sundog and the Langoliers in my opinion. So overall, I would probably give this collection maybe 4 stars. And I would say that's strongly due because the Langoliers is just so long, and I thought it wasn't that necessary to make it as long as it was. But overall, 4 stars, really solid. And I've got another collection down for Stephen King. And there you have 4 Past Midnight by Stephen King. Alright guys, that's another recent reads checked off. 4 more stories done. And we'll link them all down below like I said. But the first one I talked about is an audiobook like I keep saying. So you're not going to get a physical copy like this. It'll be on Audible. But yeah, really solid. Overall, I'd say the average is probably about 4.25 stars. Really enjoyed them. What are some books you've read recently? Let me know in the comments down below. Any books that you're intrigued with me to read next, also let me know down in the comments section. I am currently in the middle of a book that I think is going to be a contender for a top book, and it is a science fiction book. I'm not going to tell you what book that is quite yet. That will be revealed later on. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later!